Okay, live it is, even though I'm running a tad late with my countdown because I was too busy catching up with everything that I need to cover on today's show, of which there's quite a bit. Hello there, everybody. If you are tuning in now, straight away, it means that you are a subscriber to the channel. As always, I appreciate you. I see you and I love you. Thank you very much indeed for doing so. If you're seeing this after the fact, well, that's your fault. All you have to do is, of course, head down, subscribe, like, and hit the notifications on the bell icon to get your heads up on when we go live each and every episode. Talking Con, a cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. My name's Len Sultana, and we're back. A bit of a explanation for the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the week before, we have those technical issues. So I wanted to just try and do a bit of a grand reset. At which point last week, I had the one issue, which is at the moment I'm caring for my dad. He's not well. It's myself and Caroline in the house looking after him, which means if Caroline's not well, then unfortunately I have to step up. Well, it's not unfortunate. It's good to spend time with parents and all of that. But yes, my other half, my much better other half, had herself one hell of a migraine, which meant no podcast for me. I did have to look after my dad. So priorities. It's the way it works. But no, thank you very much indeed for sticking with us and joining us this week. Considering, as you'll soon learn as we get into the main episode, no special guest this week, as unfortunately we've had a bit of a cancellation. But we'll explain more about that once we get into the show. As always, loads of things that we can talk about, though. So if there's anything in the world of comics and Comic-Cons that you want to talk about, please do jump in on the comments. Say hi, sound off. Where are you watching from? What shows are you looking forward to? Are you attending New York Comic Con later on in the year? Are you getting yourself your badges for that? Are you attending MCM next weekend? Are you attending a show this week? I mean, for example, we've got Comic Con Revelation Ontario happening. We've got Anime Impulse in Seattle that's taking place. We've got shows all over the place, as always, and plenty of San Diego Comic-Con news as that's barreling down the pipe. As always, if there's anything you want to talk about, jump in on the comments, say hi, and let us know where you're watching from. We've got Michael P. Saying he's at Comicapalooza in Houston, Texas. Are you there now? How's that going for you, Michael? How's it looking? Let us know. Jump in on the comments, and of course, jump in with anything you want to talk about on today's show. Seeing as we're running a little bit late, I'm going to just dive straight in with the opening credits and start this thing off. Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to Talking Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name's Len Sultana, and each and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. GMT, we talk comics, Comic-Cons, and all the stuff and nonsense we get to enjoy at such shows. Welcome, one and all. Thank you very much indeed for paying much respect to me and joining me, considering that I have not exactly helped myself with my so establishing myself as a reliable podcast, considering that I did have to take last week off due to family concerns. We had to basically step away and look after family. Family always comes first, which is why also I'm going to have to say apologies if you did come in joining us, expecting us to see our special guest for today, Michael Schwartz, who is the creator of a fantastic book called Armored. He was due to join us to talk about the creation of that book, about him stretching his muscles. He is a renowned screenwriter, but here he's taking time to put together an amazing book, which is out, and really wants you to read it. And we wanted to talk about that, but unfortunately, due to a bit of a family issue or family emergency, he has had to step away. We are going to try and reschedule that conversation, so hopefully Michael Schwartz will be joining us on an upcoming episode. It's probably going to be an incidental. We'll try and fit something in. We want to try and get him on as soon as he can, but only when his family is safe and well, and everything is in fine fettle. Basically, Michael, if you're watching, we're wishing you and your family all the very best, and to a swift and quick and full recovery. But yes, hopefully we'll have Michael joining us at some point. We are hopefully going to be joined by a guest next week as well, which I can announce, because this one I'm really looking forward to as well. Jendia Gammon is going to be joining us to talk about a exciting new imprint with one hell of a talent roster. If you've been following Jendia's social media, certainly on Threads, she's been posting left, right, and centre about the people who are on board. A number of them have been on the show to talk about other projects. A number of them I would love to get on, because they are just absolutely astonishing. It's a hell of a talent roster, and hopefully you can check in on her social media, because we're going to find out more about that next Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, talking to Jendia Gammon about an incredible publishing anthology that she's got up and running, and some incredible talent up and running on that. As always, if you want to jump in on the comments, let us know what you want to talk about. However, plenty of news that's happened, not only in the week that I've missed, but also in the last couple of days. So plenty of things to get on and talk about. Jump in, let us know where you're going to be. If you're attending any conventions in the near future, is anything you're looking forward to, do let us know what you're going to be talking about. You got Michael P., who's jumping in, saying Comicapalooza in Houston, Texas. He's going to be attending that next weekend. Excellent stuff. All the very best to you on that one, Michael. And he's also attending Fan Expo Denver in July. Andrew English is jumping in. MCM London next weekend. That, I think, is going to be the first thing we're going to be talking about. So MCM happening at the London XL. So we'll talk about that. But yes, jump in on the comments. Where are you heading when it comes to your conventions in the near future? Is there any shows that you're attending? We were hoping to get ourselves a bit of a live report from Dan Berry, who's attending a show of his own, as is the Convention Collective correspondent Ali Raphael. However, Ali is at Anime Impulse in Seattle. Dan is at Comic Con Revolution in Ontario, and both of them are absolutely bottled in. I think Dan's taking a bit of a slow entry into the show. It's 10 a.m. Pacific, so I think he's just kind of like easing into his day, because apparently he's had a bit of a manic couple of days. So hopefully he's had a good time. We'll get a bit of a full review on the conventioncollective.com, of course. And likewise with Ali, hopefully she is having a great time at Anime Impulse. Looking forward to finding out about that. Now, we do also have a new correspondent who's joining us. He's going to be at the Fan Expo shows. He's going to be at Dallas and Denver. So hopefully we're going to be covering more about those shows on the conventioncollective.com. Do head to that site for all of our latest updates. Andrew is also heading himself to Star Wars Celebration Tokyo. He's now looking for the $3,000 for flights and accommodation. Yeah, it's not a cheap excursion for those of us who are having to travel to the other side of the world for a show like Star Wars Celebration. But heaven knows they know how to put on a show. So hopefully you're going to be up for a fantastic event. Michael P. is jumping in with something which is very close to the heart of anybody who's heading to San Diego Comic-Con: accommodation. Now, apparently there are still rooms available on the Expo website. So yes, of course, have yourself a look, see what's available. Spring Hill Suites by Marriott Mission Valley is available all days. There are one or two certainly a little bit further afield, but hopefully you got yourself your accommodation. You're all settled for where you're needing to stay at San Diego this year. A bunch of people are blanching a little bit at the $3,000 for flights and accommodation. it's kind of what I am having to raise to go to San Diego. So yeah, it for those going as a little further afield, that's what happens. It's kind of what happens. However, let's talk about something, say, for example, here in the UK, which we are able to go to a little bit closer to home, which is MCM Expo, taking place next weekend. Now, this is a show which I've been interested to see how it's been developed this year, if anything, because MCM Expo has got itself a well-deserved reputation for the let's see where I'm going with this. I just want to check where I'm going. I do have a tab for this, and I do have the ones that I'm looking for. But yeah, the MCM Expo. Oh, there it is. Which is taking place, and it's a bit weird this year, considering that, like I say, they have in the past done a great job of really sort of developing their cosplay audience, their anime, and their voice talent. They've also done a really good job of developing their writers and their ability to cover a whole bunch of ranges and appeals, which not many cons really kind of look into. I'm not entirely sure why I can't actually pull the page up on my screen. I'd really like to, so let's see if I can try that again, because I have got myself a page where yeah, is it this one? I think it's this one. Here we go. I mean, all in all, it's a fantastic lineup for next weekend, and some great panels as well. One Piece are getting themselves a review, a reunion panel. You've got a whole bunch of writers and creatives panels that are taking place. But I'm going to kind of, I mean, if you just go through the actual the talent, it's great to have the likes of, let's go for create entertainment. Let's go for the entertainment ones. Obviously, a bunch of people are excited. I mean, when it comes to names, you are looking at a fair number. When it comes to Ted Lasso, you've got a whole bunch of anime and animation talents as well, that are going to be showing up on not only on stage but also on the show floor as well. My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball Super, Jess Hartnell, Jim Cummins. Great to have those two legends in town. So they're going to be around as well. But it really is very much a niche kind of collective. It's not so much your Hollywood A-listers. It's those are a little bit more off the beaten track, and that is something that MCM are leaning into, because they're just servicing a field of audience which doesn't usually get itself serviced, quite frankly. And it's good to have a show which will really kind of embrace those fields. To be fair as well, the comics lineup is very impressive for this show. Something that, again, has been a little bit underserved at previous MCMs, but they're starting to get themselves back a reputation for some great guests in the comics fields. We've got Alison Sampson there, Chris Garbett, you've got Colleen Douglas, you've got David Bailey, Declan Shalvey. Duali is a fantastic illustrator. He's going to be appearing at the Artist Alley stage. Fraser Irving, Gary Erskine. Gary Erskine is a mainstay of the MCM Artist Alley. So yeah, he's going to have his settled table. He's going to have his feet very much planted there. Hamish Steele is always a great draw. If you do manage to get to his table, go check it out. But then you've got yourself some other fantastic talent, which I didn't expect to see at MCM Expo, but they are there, and they are absolutely loaded to bear. Jeff Loeb is going to be in the room, as is Klaus Janson as well. That's a double hitter, certainly when it comes to amazing legacy creators. Klaus Janson, of course, the inker and illustrator of things like Dark Knight Returns, Superman, Thor, and Avengers, and of course, Jeff Loeb is just a legend for his writing on things like Long Halloween and Superman for All Seasons. Yeah, it's just astonishing to have him there. Jacob Phillips, great to have him on available. Oh, look, there's Joel Meadows, who's a good friend of the show, so it's good to have him have his mug on a artist guest of a convention. But if we just scroll through, Kip Buss, Laura Howell, Mark Elby, Mark Lamming. I mean, all of these, it's just a phenomenal little lineup. Is this? It's Martin Simmons, Mike Garling, Pigeon, Rachel Smith, Rose Besh, Sam Gibney, Sarah Grayley, and Stefano Caselli, Warwick Fraser-Croom, Werther Del Etra. Incredible. It's a nice little lineup, is that? And if you are heading to MCM London, you are in for one hell of a show. All of these are going to be appearing in the Artist Alley. But again, like I say, it's very much a show, MCM Expo in London, which is kind of veering away from your kind of mainstream Hollywood talent, which you'll find that most shows seem to be dialing that back away. We're going to cover some shows coming up, and indeed some guests that are on the way for some shows, which kind of give you a sense that it's now not so much I'm not going to say the done thing to go to a convention, but it's more a case of it's something that people will pick and choose, and when they do pick it, they kind of make the most of it. So, for example, something that caught my attention this week, which was announced, which is the first North American and indeed first major convention that is going to be the appearance for Bryce Dallas Howard, star, of course, of films like Jurassic World and Spider-Man 3. She's moved into directing as well with episodes of The Mandalorian. She is a name of choice. She's appearing Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Fan Expo Boston on June 14th to 16th at the Heinz Convention Center, which has got a couple of people's wind up, considering they changed the dates on the show and moved it a little bit further back into the year, which has kind of messed with one or two people's organization of attending that show. But Bryce Dallas Howard, like I say, this is a name of choice, and some people have been kind of balking at some of the prices that she is commanding. Autograph price of $100, table photo price of $100, combo table photo and autograph price $180, with a photo op price of $115. Prices are subject to change, of course, but it looks like that's going to be the price that they're asking for, or Bryce Dallas Howard is asking for, including digital copies at $25 when they're usually around $10. Basically, people are starting to question about the prices of this particular talent, if indeed some of us as well. There are a number of shows where they've announced prices, and it's looking like if some mainstream performers are deciding to make an appearance at a con, they're going to make bank while doing it. I wouldn't say it's kind of fleecing the dying embers of the convention landscape at the moment, but it's feeling like that. Certainly when it comes to mainstream talent and certainly Hollywood talent, they're not seeing the draw of attending a convention anymore, and that's kind of a little disappointing. But no, there you go. It's the first major convention appearance for Bryce Dallas Howard, and she's going for the money straight out the gate. Who else have we got? Oh yes, we've got ourselves the guests as well, or the first initial guests that have been announced for New York Comic Con, taking place in October 17th to the 20th at the Javits Center. Some great names on this one, actually. I've been very impressed with this. It's only the first salvo, so it's a case of lining up a number of the ducks in a row and seeing who's there. But even as a first salvo, it's very impressive indeed. Josh Brolin is the kind of big TV and film talent, but you've got yourself the likes of Billy West, Carla Gugino, Casper Van Dien, Chris Sabat. You've got Denise Richards, Dina Meyer, Freddie Prinze Jr., Jason Mewes, Jason Lee. Jodie Whittaker is out saying hello to people as Doctor Who fans, obviously, Doctor Who riding a wave of excitement with the new Doctor taking to the screens, but obviously Jodie is out to meet friends because she still made quite an impression when it comes to Doctor Who fans. Katie Siegel, Kevin Smith going to be joining Jason Mewes, of course. That'll be a way to get people's attention. Matt Smith's going to be on stage as well. Kyle MacLachlan, Michael Ironside, the likes of such. I mean, it's a nice little initial lineup. It's a nice little first salvo of talent. But the ones I want to have a look at, as is my want, is the comics talent for New York Comic Con. Again, these are people that have been announced. We'll see how we grow to this roster list, and of course, how if any of these do cancel out as we get closer. But for now, October 17th to 20th, you will be seeing the likes of Amanda Connor, Arthur Adams, Camilla Del Errico, Chip Zdarsky, Chris Claremont, Cliff Chang, David Finch, Dexter Vines, Dustin Nugent, Erica Schultz, Fabian Degenza, Jeff Shaw. Yeah, I mean, if I just scroll through, our friend there, Jeff Loeb, who's going to be traveling back, James Tinian as well. Michael P is asking, am I going this year to NYCC? It's unlikely, but you never know. Plans may change. We'll see what happens. Jimmy Palmiotti, of course. Well, if Amanda's going well, of course, Jimmy's going to be in tow. Jim Lee, of course, it's nice and local. Last time I checked. Joyce Chin, John Timms, Joel Jones, Nana Kangas, Keith Williams, Mahmoud Azra. I'm trying not to skip anybody. If you are actually a fan of a number of these, and I don't mention their name, don't think that I'm slighting them. I'm just trying to get through as many as I can. So Pacelli, Scott Snyder, who else we've got? Tim Seeley, Tom King, Tom Taylor, a whole bunch of Eisner nominees in this particular lineup. So yes, it's going to be a hell of a lineup. But then again, it's Artist Alley at New York Comic Con, and heaven knows it still remains one of the finest curated talent lists of any convention out there. But yeah, there you go. Do check that out if you head to newyorkcomiccon.com/guests. You've got yourself all the full guest roster at the moment for New York Comic Con. Getting tickets, however, or badges, that has been announced this week, and it was kind of given a full write-up by the Popverse, which is kind of like the sister publication, as it were, of Repop. So they've written up a full setup when asking when is the New York ticket sale date for 2024. Is Wednesday, June the 6th. Let's just change that a bit. Wednesday, June the 26th at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Apparently, however, you can get yourself a badge early if you happen to be a New York Comic Con VIP ticket holder. 24-hour pre-sale, which launches on Wednesday, May 29th at 12 Eastern Time. Receiving a link to buy 2024 tickets at this email address used to buy VIP tickets in 2023. So very much leaning in towards the pre-existing fans, the ones that have spent the money for the VIP. And then you have a 24-hour pre-sale exclusive to the amazing Popverse superfans beginning on Wednesday, June the 5th at 12 p.m. Eastern. And that's for all existing Superman members, as well as those who sign up for a new Popverse Superfan membership between now and then. So that is how that's going to work out. So again, you're looking at June the 26th at 12 o'clock with a bit of a boost for those either VIP or Popverse superfans who have got themselves a membership in place. Yeah, it's as always, it's New York Comic Con. It's a show and a half, and they are always up for putting on one hell of a show, especially when it comes to the Artist Alley. Indeed, literary comics, it dominates the actual the poster which they've got out. But yes, that's who they've got coming, and yeah, looking like a fun little show. It's New York Comic Con. It's going to be a massive event at the at Javits Center of course, do check that out at newyorkcomiccon.com. Right. What else have we got to talk about? Is there anything that you want to talk about? Is there anything that's happening in the news of comics and Comic-Cons that's caught your attention over the last couple of weeks? Jumping on the comments, and we've got ourselves Andrew English. He's hoping to get a load of photos over the 3 days of Star Wars Celebration. So yeah, keep your eyes open. I'll do my best to link to those on all the socials at Englishman STCC, and indeed 1 or 2 people are wishing him all the very best. Have fun in Japan. Yes, and chuck a toilet as well. Enjoy. Would love to go back to Japan. Haven't been there since I was a teenager back in the 80s. Yeah, fun and games. Looking forward to seeing what he comes up with when it comes to his photos. All the best to you, Andrew. Right, San Diego Comic-Con. Then we have had 1 or 2 bits and pieces when it comes to news of this particular show, of course, taking part at the back end of July. I think the final piece of the puzzle for a number of people, as well as getting your hotel and your accommodation in place, is where on earth to park your car. Well, Ace Parking for Comic-Con 24. This is something that I would have covered last week, except obviously I was away, so I'm not able to dive in. Andrew Dickinson joining us. Hello there, Andrew. Welcome to you, sir. So yeah, Ace Parking for Comic-Con 2024. This would have been something I discussed last week with the announcement that on May the 8th, that's last weekend, at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, registration open for your chance to snag a prime parking spot close to all the convention action. So the dates were May the 8th, opening of the door for the parking lottery registration period. The lottery drawing takes place June the 10th. Okay, with the first group sale taking place on June 17th and the general public sale to be determined. So you've got all the operating hours and all the lots on the actual site as well, with the convention center open from 5 a.m. to 2 a.m. with the tailgate triangle, and the MTS open at 5 a.m. to 2 a.m. So most of the lots open for driver business at the times below. However, cases where the lots open for permit holders only and do not open for driver sales. Basically, it is the same and usual as always when it comes to Ace. It is a case of just diving on that site, hoping it works, and yes, making sure that you don't overload it with too many requests, because it can fall over at the drop of a hat. Ace Parking, taking those applications for the permits, and the parking lottery registration period happens right now. You can jump in on the Ace Parking website, which is aceparking.com/comic-con. Head to there, secure your spot, visit the sign up form below, and then on June the 10th, you will hopefully find out if you've managed to get yourself a parking slot for this year's show. So that was one of the things that happened last weekend before. Last couple of days, however, you had yourself the Eisner Awards nominations that have been announced. Now, this is of interest to me, obviously, as a comics fan, but also as something that I attend on the Friday night. It happens at the Indigo Ballroom in the Marriott, and it is always a fascinating room to be in, considering that you are literally surrounded by the great and the good of the comics industry. They are there to not only bump fists and bump awards, but also just rub shoulders with each other. And it's a hell of a social event for the great and good when it comes to the comics landscape. They're all going to be in the room, and there's a whole bunch of amazing talent that's been recommended and recognized in the 2024 Will Eisner Comic Industry Awards. The nominees, we've got ourselves, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I could certainly pick out a couple which I feel that could be front runners. Best short story, it could be a toss-up between The Friendship is Forever by Sam Maggs and Keisha Okafor for the My Little Pony 40th celebration, but also World's Finest Part 1 by Tom King and Belen Ortega in Wonder Woman 3, which is a great short story. Best single issue one shot. There's not one there that absolutely jumps out for me, but the Nightwing 105 issue was an amazing technical achievement, because it is the one where you are seeing through the viewpoint of Dick Grayson as Nightwing, and very technically well done as a storytelling exercise. It's Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo doing a great job on that. Best continuing series, we've had a number of these chaps joining us on the show, so it's great to see Wonder Woman being recognized. But I am going to put someone a little bit more fun. I mean, you could have Nightwing on there, but they've been nominated before, and I think that's been well recognized already. I am going to put my number on that, Transformers by Daniel Warren Johnson. What Daniel has done with that book has gotten more people excited about Transformers than anything else has happened in the last decade. It's just such an impressive thing to see. And considering that IDW had Transformers in their hand, and then Image Skybound have started to do this book and have absolutely rocked it. It's an amazing setup. Best limited series, I can't really speak too much about many of those, because I haven't actually read a number of them. I think the only one I've actually read out of that lot is the Superman Lost by Christopher Priest. Great book, but I can imagine that's a very strong lineup indeed. Best new series, again, I also haven't read too many of these either, although I have been a fan of Somna, bedtime story. Could be the first time that we see a distillery being recognized, but I'm hearing great things about Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees and Local Man by Tim Seeley. See how that goes out. Best publication for early readers, it's not something that I've been checking into, so unfortunately not too aware of too many of those. Best publication for kids, again, same drill. Best publication for teens, nothing there that's really kind of jumping out, but I mean, Danger by Unknown Risk, great to see Ryan North and Erica Henson working out and getting a book out again. Best humor publication for me in this particular lineup, I have read the I Was a Teenage Michael Jackson Impersonator, another musical meanderings by Keith Knight. I was just intrigued, and yeah, it's it's a great book, but there's all those as well, so it's time to find out how those hold up against those others in the humor category. Best anthology, I personally think that one's going to be the one, purely on a personal, on a political level. Comics for Ukraine, edited by Scott Dumbier, but also the fact that it's just an amazing roster of talent that Scon's pulled together. And I think on a technical level, by just getting that book out there and getting it absolutely step forward is just well impressive as a book. But I will say, I do also have the Devil's Cut in my collection. Again, could be a chance for Distillery to take home a prize. Best reality-based work, not too familiar with a lot of these, the exception being Messenger, A Legend of Muhammad Ali by Mark Bernardin and Ron Salas. I am a fan of both of those creators, and it's the reason why I sought out that particular book. It is a phenomenal read. It's one of those which will be discussed for many years to come. So whether it's a case of this is a book for this year or for years to come. But there you go. It's in the best reality work, and some great names in that lineup. Best graphic memoir. Not really familiar with too many of those books, unfortunately. Best graphic album. I am a fan of Roaming, indeed. I've got a number of the books, which I do have when it comes to the Eisner's. Roaming I do have, and yeah, it's an amazing, it's a thick read. That took me a while to make my way through it, but it's a really fascinating read, if anything, because it really does put you in the mindset of someone outside of my own personal experience. It's about kids, and it's about developing relationships and friendships and loves, and the first blossom of life and getting out there into the world. It's a great book. Like I say, you could do some damage with that. You keep it to the bed. I keep it by the bed in case I need to ward off intruders. I can just whack them with that. Nice and handy to hold in your hand and just catch them with the corner. But there we go. Roaming is up for grabs in the best graphic novel. But again, I'm not too sure of a number of the others. Parasocial by Alex de Campi and Eric Anderson could get some attention. And we'll see how that goes. Best graphic album reprint. Yes, considering that I've just mentioned Alex de Campi, was somebody who, quite right, in my opinion, was quite right to call out Ed Piskor. As it happens, Ed Piskor is nominated, or the late Ed Piskor is nominated for Best Graphic Album Reprint for Hip Hop Family Tree, the Omnibus. However, looking at a number of these titles, I personally put it down to either Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise Treasury edition by Tradd Moore, or The Good Asian by Ponsak Pishotsky and Alexandra Teneaki. Chukatoilo Usis, Leonard, that book deals 1d6 bludgeoning damage. Yes, if I'm going to roll for any kind of critical damage, it's with that book. Yeah. But then again, I've got some other heavy ones on the way. Don't worry, I've got some others to come. Best adaptation from another medium, adapted by James Sturm and Joe Upton. I've been hearing great things about Watership Down by Richard Adams. I'm surprised that there have been a couple that haven't been put forward. The 1984 graphic novel, I'm surprised that wasn't put forward, but there we go. Even the Dracula, but I suspect that with Dracula, it is a case of just how many Dracula adaptations have been out there. So maybe it was a case of some getting lost in the mix. Let's have a look at the others as well. Best Archival Collection, Popeye Sundays again in there, and indeed Walt Disney's Silly Symphonies. Best Archival Collection Project Comic Books, Ballad of Halo Jones, Full Color Omnibus by Alan Moore, Ian Gibson, edited by Olivia Hicks. What Rebellion have done with that book, going in to the original artwork by Ian Gibson and really showing it some amazing respect. It'd be great to see Rebellion on stage, but then you've also got the likes of Michael Golden's Marvel Stories Artist Edition, edited by Scott Dumbier. It could be the last IDW Artist Edition nod now that Scott has left IDW. That could prove to be an interesting win if he does, considering he did win it under the IDW banner. And by the sounds of things, Scott left rapidly while IDW is struggling. There we go. Best Writer, I can't see how anyone can even choose out of that particular lineup, because my God, it's a roster and a half. Stephen Graham Jones, Mario Tamaki, Tom Taylor, Kelly Thompson, Mark Waid, and G. Willow Wilson. Although Mario Tamaki has turned around and said she's feeling a little slighted, to be honest, because, as it happens, that book, Roaming, it was written and created by her and her sister, Gillian Tamaki and Mariko Tamaki. And she feels that for her to be nominated and for Mariko not to be, it's not just artist and writer. So she feels a little bit slighted there. That particular lineup, I'd like to say Tom Taylor, but my word, that would keep me up at night trying to choose particularly that little lot. Best Writer Artist, I would love Daniel Warren Johnson to win this for Transformers. It's possible that Tilly Walton could be recommended for Clementine Book 2. Again, another incredibly strong lineup. Best Penciler Inker or Penciler Inker Team, Tula Lote for Barnstormers. Great book, but I get the feeling that there's other stronger talents in there, but only bloody justice. A hell of a lineup. Gillian Tamaki again for Roaming. It really there's two people involved in this book. I'm sorry, but I think someone's being a little bit slighted there. Best Painter Multimedia Artist. Now you've got three that I am putting forward here. Liam Sharp for his Nocterra Nemesis special, and also for Starhenge. While Starhenge is a tough book to get your head round, you can't you can't say anything about the art. It looks incredible. Martin Simmons for his Universal Monsters Dracula. It's great to see it being recognised for something. And Tanaka for Taneda, for the Night Eaters, her little Reapers. The usual suspects for best cover artist, but I am going to put my flag against the wall for Jim Bartel. Yeah, he's just been knocking it out of the park this year. I can see Peach Mokomo getting it, but I'd love Jem Bartel to get that particular nod. Best colouring, again, astonishing talent across the board. For myself, it is going to be Lee Luffridge for his work on a whole bunch of books, including those distillery titles, Devil's Cut, Gone, and Somna. Also things like Red Zone for AWA and Hunt, Kill, Repeat for Matt Cave. He's just had an astonishing amount of work this year. Best lettering, it'd be great to see Hassan Otsman Helhar to win it this year. He's been putting the work in and been demonstrating some fantastic talent. Best luck, Hassan. It'd be great to see him win. He's obviously been a winner before for his Comics X Panel, Panel X Panel, or Panel by Panel book, which he edits and creates. But it'd be great to see him recognised for his lettering. Best comics-related periodical and journalism. Now, while I would love to see Sketched by David Harper win this particular award, I'm going to put my name, my flag against Rob Salkowitz, who is, of course, a good friend to the site, and everything that he writes is incredibly incisive. I really do hope that Rob pulls it off for this particular category. Now, best comics related book. A couple of books here which I've got interest in. Thalamus by Art of Dave McKean is a great presentation of the work of Dave. You've also got Brian Talbot, father of the British graphic novel. Great creators, but I've got myself two books, and they are the ones I'm going to put as a front runner. I Am the Law, How Judge Dredd Predicted Our Future. Now, this has actually been around for a while now, so I'm wondering if this has still got the tailwind to get people's attention to get the win for Best Comics Related Book. But Michael Mulcher is rightfully to be proud for this particular book, drawing that line between the satire and the social commentary of Judge Dredd and how we are as a culture right now. This was written and released at the tail end of COVID and also at Black Lives Matter. The way that the law has really kind of shown itself as a force, not necessarily for our good, but for the good of those that control society. I Am the Law. It's an incredibly detailed read, and for the work and effort alone, I think Michael deserves a hell of a nod. Again, I'm not too sure about this one as its chance. It is in the nod for Best Comics Related Work, which is Confabulation, which is the anecdotal autobiography of Dave Gibbons. Another hefty read, but well worth it. It's a brilliant read, and also it's really well done in the fact that it's not a biography in a true sense. He does turn around and says that maybe my memory doesn't quite serve me correctly, and I'm remembering this anecdotically, but also it's done alphabetically, so you kind of flick through and find yourself all sorts of stories which he pulls from memory. It's a great book. It's a fantastic read, and I'd rather hope that it, which is up for Best Comics Related Book. I think I had a bit of a blip there. Please let me know if you could hear or see me. We've got ourselves Best Academic and Scholarly Work. Now, there's a couple I'm aware of on here. The Claremont run Subverting Gender in the X-Men by J. Andrew Demon. I have actually read this, a very dense work, but does a great job of arguing what Chris Claremont did in X-Men. And Super Bodies, comic book illustration, artistic styles, and narrative impact by Jeffrey A. Brown. I read because I'm a fan of Jeffrey A. Brown. Yeah, either of those two I would be happy to see winning, if only because I've read it. Let's have a look at these. Best webcomic, not really familiar with a number of those. Likewise with best digital comic, although Parliament of Rooks by Abigail Jill Harding is something that I've read and I am a fan of. Not a fan of the rest of them, or not familiar with them. So very best of luck to all those taking part in those particular categories. I am going to be in the room for the Eisners, and it's going to be held, like I say, in the Indigo Ballroom on the Friday. So if you want to find me wearing some shoes and looking vaguely smart, I'm not going to go three-piece like I have done in previous years, but I'm certainly going to put a shirt on. If you want to come and join us, yes, I'm going to be in the room. Fingers crossed I'll get myself the other side of the barrier and say hi to some people. If not, I'll be in the room at the back and cheering as loud as I probably can for those that are nominated and are up for grabs. That is going to be the Eisner Awards. That's going to be on Friday, of course, of San Diego Comic-Con. Right. Speaking of San Diego, and certainly when it comes to the guests that are going to be there, those have been announced over the last couple of days and weeks, and we have had the first two guest announcements for San Diego Comic-Con. So these are going to be appearing either on panels or around the convention center throughout the course of that weekend. Let's go for the first run. Like I say, this is not going to be news for those who have been following San Diego Comic-Con updates. The second bunch, maybe, because that's only announced a couple of days ago, but the first group of guests for Comic-Con 2024, Charles Ardai, the creator of Gun Honey and also co-creator of Hard Case Crime. Rodney Barnes, of course, is just an incredible writer and producer and comic creator, the man behind books such as Kildelphia and Monarch. Kildelphia is just one of those that's going to be discussed for years going by. It's just an astonishing work. Daniel Clowes, man needs no introduction, the creator of Ghost World and many more. Jenny Conway, again, someone who leads very little introduction, especially if you are a fan of Spider-Man, but the co-creator of The Punisher, Firestorm, Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, The Jackal, Killer Croc, etc., etc., etc. Comics legend, Jerry Conway in the room. Naomi Novik has written the Skullman's trilogy, so one of the writers that's been invited. And you've got Julia Wirtz, who's a cartoonist, urban explorer, and amateur historian. She's had some bits and pieces up at the Comic-Con museum, and she is going to be appearing on Friday through Sunday at the show. But let's go for the second run of announcements then for San Diego Comic-Con. We are looking at another bunch of very eclectic creators. Giancarlo Guinardo, a Spanish artist behind the likes of Disney in the Paris facility, but also putting together some amazing work, such as Scolaris with the writer Teresa Valero, which I've read. Brilliant illustrator. If you are not aware of his work, seek it out. Rick Law is an American illustrator producer and has put plenty of art in front of billions of people working for the Walt Disney Company. Rick Parker is a writer artist whose graphic memoir novel Drafted, due out in September. But you also have the likes of Beavis and Butthead and Marvel Age under his belt. Then Pham, who's a creator of such books as Level Up, Family Style, and he's just an award-winning illustrator and novelist, and yeah, well worth attending. Like I say, these are names that maybe a little bit off the beaten track. You may not be aware too much of these, but certainly it's a case of talent that you should become a little bit more aware of. And heaven knows they're going to be available for you to meet. Linda Sunshine, the author of more than 70 books, including the making of such movies as How to Train Your Dragon and The Hulk, and also an editor in New York, writing several anthologies of DC Comics. And then you have Mariko Tamaki, co-creator of Eisner Warning books. This one's summer. Laura Dean keeps breaking up, and in collaboration with Gillian, it is of course roaming, nominated for 3 Eisner Awards. Yeah, well, Elise Mariko is listed on the special guests, if not listed on the actual Eisner. There we go. That is the second guest lineup, and you'll be seeing guest lineup again, I believe, on Tuesday for wave number 3. Where are we? Good grief, we've got plenty of stuff to rattle on with. Thanks for sticking with us. We've got ourselves a couple of things that kind of caught my attention as well. One that's been pulled up by the unofficial blog. This was, it's always interesting to know what Funko have got planned, considering that Funko is struggling when it comes to its efforts as a business. I think it's safe to say that the Funko wave has kind of passed when it comes to the mainstream. So now it's a case of pure fans who are absolutely in the room, which kind of explains the change of venue, or at least the return of venue for their big Funko Sunday, which is going to be taking place on oh no, it's 2 nights. What am I on about? Let's have a look at this. Announced last month, Fun Days is back at San Diego Comic Con this year. It's going to be bigger than ever. Get ready to sail the high seas, or at least the Manchester Grand Hyatt steps for Funko Fun Days 2024, featuring 2 nights set for Friday and Saturday, and the theme of Freddy's Fantastic Voyage. Yes, they are moving back to the Manchester Grand Hyatt rather than the Raddy Shell. It did seem that while the Raddy Shell seemed like a fantastic venue, and I wish I could be there for that, because anything that for the Raddy Shell I'd love to have seen. But as it looks, I think they want to bring it back to basics, back to that small, dark, intimate kind of surrounding, instead of out in the open air. I think they want to be a little bit more, again, underground, and a little bit more sharp around the edges. But that's what they've got planned. It's going to be over the 2 nights, and you've got special surprise of fan ticket sale details still to be announced. But someone willing to spend a lot of money, say 8,500, so can try and grab Funko's Pirate Freddy One of Fun digital drop. Holder of the digital Funko on July 17th will receive 2 tickets for Fun Days. Again, that's a pretty pricey option, and you can find more information on Drop site, which is listed on that page of the SDCC blog if you want to go and check that out. Something that came through on my inbox, which got my attention, is yesterday. Now, yesterday's is a retailer on the exhibition floor, which has, over the last 4 or 5 years, really gotten the attention of, and caught the imagination of many attendees, if anything, for the exclusive badges that you can get every day. So when you see a bunch of people running through the exhibit floor trying to get into a line on that first day, most of the big exclusives are now lottery based, so nobody has to run so much for those. But yesterday's, if you want those pins, you have to be that first in line, which is why for the last couple of years that line snakes from about halfway down the convention center floor all the way back down, and really kind of blocks everyone up. That is, of course, yesterday's. Now, yesterday's have announced this week the first bunch of their exclusives, including the San Diego 2024 souvenir t-shirt and tote combo, and indeed t-shirt. $50 for the tote combo and t-shirt, $30 for the t-shirt on its own, and $25 for the tote. So save yourself $5 and get yourself the both. You can add those to the cart now and pick those up at the convention if you like. And of course, a whole bunch of other badges, pins have been announced. But we have yet to find out about the full-blown pins that will be exclusive to attendees at San Diego Comic-Con this year. I'm hoping to get yesterday's on the show. I've been asking them for about 2-3 years, and they've either been really, really busy or kind of ducked and dived. So fingers crossed, I will try and get them on between now and July. And we'll find out, number one, about their thoughts on the meteoric rise of their popularity over the last 4 or 5 years, and also possibly find out what they've got planned as they get ready for San Diego Comic Con 2024. That is yesterday's. Do go check them out at yesterdays.com. Right, I think that's pretty much all the things I want to get into. Of course, if there's anything you want to talk about, if there's anything you want us to message and mention, now's the time to tell me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover two things, which is, of course, my comic book of the week and my social of the week. So while I'm doing that, have a think. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? If you're watching right now, anything that you want to discuss when it comes to the world of Comic Cons, anything that you'd like to get into? When it comes to my books of the week, I have not been able to go to a comic book shop this week. My pull list is going to be immense. It's easily going to be 3 figures. Whether it's going to be 200-300 quid, I have no idea. It's not. It's going to be painful when I go to OK Comics next, but that's the way it is. I haven't been able to get out of the house. I haven't been able to get to my comic book shop. But, however, I'll come back to that, Michael. Good question. But the book I am going to talk about, my comic of the week, is kind of a spin-off to this. This is a book or a small self-published collective, which I have been reading for some time. I've had him on the show. We've talked to him before. He's a good friend of the podcast, Gustavo Vargas, who has done these wonderful Peruvian steampunk sci-fi epics. Altiplano. These are just amazing books for just stepping out of your comfort zone, but still incredibly accessible, incredibly well drawn, fantastically rendered. Why Gustavo Vargas is not like a household name when it comes to comics. He's just a phenomenal creator. Fantastic. So what do you do when you have these amazing stories? Ta-da. Why have I got a bit of fluff on my hand? Amazing stories in these wonderful, compact, easy to carry, wonderfully digestible collectives. What do you do when you have these fantastic books? What you do is you stick them in a hardback and you make a real effort of putting some incredible art on the page. And what Gustavo has done with this. This came through as a Kickstarter, which I backed, Anti-Cusho, the Peruvian cyberpunk stories. That first one, which you could just see, Lima, does appear in here, as does a bunch of new stories, including Anti-Cusho. And what Gustavo does as a creator is just amazing. This book is being published by Taku Tinta Press. I would search for it online, and I would do my best to get your hands on this. If you are wanting to step away from your straightforward mainstream comics and reach out into other parts of the world that you may not be familiar with, and that you want to just explore other culture, while getting your head around some very relative and relevant stories when you have the likes of robotics, biotechnology, artificial intelligence. Yes, it may sound like a potent mix, and that's exactly what it is. It is my book of the week, although you really are going to have to go out your way to try and find a copy. But it's one that I would heartily recommend. The hunt is worth the effort. Anti-Cusho by Gustavo Vargas is available, and I would heartily recommend you doing your best to try and track. If not this, then go to Gustavo Vargas' website and get yourself any of the small one-shots that are available, because, yeah, he's an amazing creator, and what he's done with that book is phenomenal. Excellent. Do go check that out. Social media of the week. As I have explained in the past, what I try to do is showcase social medias with not the biggest reach, not the biggest audience, and so for a reason defying my understanding, why on earth they're not as big as they should be, is what I try to do with this particular feature. Anything under 3,000 followers for me is considered a small following and deserves to be 10 times, if not 20 times as much. And that is what this certainly is. It is ElfQuest. It is the work of Richard and Wendy Penny. It is the official threads. It is threads.net ElfQuest. I would heartily recommend adding to this, considering they've got at the moment 1,314 followers, which is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. How on earth? I mean, number one, they always put out an entertaining website, entertaining feed on all of their social medias. What Richard and Wendy get up to, especially Wendy, and she's always posting stuff that she's getting up to at various cons, including you got this one from Cradle Rock with a fan. You've got Cradle Con, so I do apologize, and a whole bunch of fans who are hardcore and dedicated. And Wendy and Richard are just the most lovely people. And why on earth they're not celebrated more is just beyond me, considering that Wendy has been there from the start. She's just always been a character and a creator worth following. And what these two have done at the very foundation of the convention culture. And moving forward, it's 2024. You've got yourself a whole bunch of books that are coming. You've got yourself a new art book coming with the Celebrating the Complete covers from 78 to 22. Yeah, it's just a great little feed, and every time that they post, it's well worth seeing what they've got to hand. And yeah, what Richard and Wendy do are just amazing. They are going to be appearing at conventions as well. They do live streams, and all of it is detailed on this feed. Do go to threads.net at ElfQuest, and yeah, add to the list and become a ElfQuest fan today, because you won't go wrong, because they really are just wonderful people. Thank you very much indeed for checking that out if you can. Right, last minute comments then. We have had this, yes. Are you doing a panel this year? Thank you very much indeed for asking that, Michael. The deadline for panels was last Sunday. So if you wanted to get a panel submitted, you did have to get that in. And right now what they are doing is wading through the hundreds, if not thousands, of panel applications. The idea being that you put forward your name, the title of the panel, a panel description, and potential guests. I've put forward for 2. I'm not going to say what they are just yet. I want to see where, if and when I get accepted for those panels. But safe to say there's a number of Brits in town. So fingers crossed I'll be able to invite them to one of those panels. The second panel, I'm not entirely sure, because I'm wondering if there's A, an audience for it, or B, anyone in the room that's going to be vaguely interested. I'll let you know. So there we go. Yes, let's have a look at this. Other comments that have been going. Chuck a Toilet. Hopefully Ace have got their site issues taken care of. Last couple of years has been a pain. From all evidence, no, they haven't. Ace Parking remain a site that doesn't seem to understand the demand that comes out of San Diego Comic Con every single year. They just don't seem to kind of get their head around it. But yeah, by all accounts, it's not going well. And at this point, it's just applying for a place on the parking lottery. Very, very strange indeed. Everyone watching X-Men 97, I'm 4 episodes in. I'm playing catch up. Leave me alone. I've got stuff to do with that. Okay. What else have we got? Hello Novan. You have a crazy berry. It's not that crazy. It's a bit boring. It's a bit of a white one, but you know, it covers the head. And in today's climate, it's been nice and bright, and it's been lovely, which explains the rosy glow. Yes, it's required, and you'll see this if you do spot the beret. If you spot the the flat cap in San Diego, come up and say hello. Yeah, let's say hi to me. Let's have a look at this. This is regarding X-Men 97 as well. I watched the first couple of episodes a few weeks ago. I need to get back into them. From all accounts, get into it now because they just continue to be absolutely staggering. So there we go. Andrew Dixon is saying, just been in the Gen Con Games sign up, 21,000 events, and the 3 I wanted sold out before I got in. Was 9,000 in the queue out of 60,000 attendees. Wow. Oh, well, looks like I'm working all 4 days then. Well, best of luck with that. So good to see that the gaming community continue to be as enthusiastic as ever. So that's Gen Con showing some manic signups there. Well done. So there we go. And I think that's us. It's now an hour past, so we're just past the 3 minutes past 7. So it's now done. I've managed to talk about everything that I need to talk about. I've caught up, 2 weeks worth of news, and hopefully that was enough fun for you. I am going to be really bigging up the Eisners over the course of the next couple of months. Also, something that I'm trying to get cleared. I've got my hands on the exhibitor map for San Diego Comic-Con 2024. I'm going to be doing my best to go through that and inviting as many people onto the show as I can from that exhibitors list. There's been some interesting moves, some interesting additions, some interesting companies that are not listed as far as I can see. I've still got to tear all the way through it because it's that PDF which you really have to kind of like zoom in and to see what everyone's up to. I'll talk about that on next week's show. Yes, we are going to be having a special guest, and I'm really looking forward to having her on. Jendia Gammon is going to be joining us next Sunday. Now, Jendia is a Nebula and BSFA finalist author. She's also an editor-in-chief of a new series of an anthology series. And yeah, the talent roster that she's managing to get on board for this particular this anthology. It's called Anthology, but you've got the likes of Anthony Johnson on there. You've got well, I mean, I think if I just scroll a little bit further down, these are the names that we've got involved so far. Kevin Scott, Jonathan Maybury, DK Stone. You've got Ren Hutchins, Bonnie Burton, Paul Cornell, David Quantick, Casey Griffin, Pedro Inguez, Sarah L. Miles, David James Warad. Astonishing collection of talent. This is by the husband and wife team, Jendia Gammon and Gareth Powell. And yeah, it's a fantastic imprint. And we're going to be talking about that next week when Jendia Gammon is going to be joining us on the show. Hopefully you can join us 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT for Talkin Con, cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. If you joined us for our special guest or our potential special guest this week, Michael Schwartz will be joining us to talk about Armored, fantastic book which he's had online, available. And he is going to be hopefully joining us either on an incidental episode in the next couple of days or on an episode upcoming. Want to talk to him about his book. Sorry if you came and joined us expecting to see Michael Schwartz on screen, but he will be back. He'll be on screen at some point in the near future. Fingers crossed. And that's us. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Hope you've enjoyed it. As always, if you have, please do jump in on the liking and the subscribing and the notification bell. And yeah, please just hit the notification bell down below. It not only will grow the channel, it helps us out enormously, but if you share and spread the love and let us know, let everyone know that we are live on a Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT, it helps us a lot. So please like and subscribe, hit the notifications, and it lets you know when we are live each and every Sunday. So that's us. Thank you very much indeed. Back again next week, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. Hopefully, it's going to be another bright week for you. Hopefully, you're going to enjoy as we head into summer. Some great cons on the way, some great comics on the way, and hopefully some great episodes of Talkin Con on the way as well. From me to you, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.